Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. Chaosium, if you haven't been following, folks, there's been a huge thing, especially over the last couple of months, about AI art, whether it's going to change the gaming industry, change independent publishing, change things for larger publishers. Because for some, art is an afterthought. For others, art is a significant part of what they release. For many, especially in independent gaming, the art and the writing are often done by the same author artist, and it's a package deal. But just like we've had stock art for years, now AI art seems to be a huge thing, and it's drawing a line. Drawing a line, like I understand it, people are lining up on one side of it or the other. They're either for it or against it. Well, Chaosium on the 16th, which would be Friday, 2 days ago, made a statement on this. AI art and Chaosium, 16th of December, 2022. Art is important to Chaosium, and our artists deserve a lot of credit for our successes over the past several years. We're updating our art contract templates to include the provision that AI art programs are not to be used. The work needs to be the product of a human artist who can vouch that they created the piece and that it does not contain unlicensed derivative use of someone else's work. We are concerned about the ethics of AI art and its impact on the livelihoods of artists. And it's a huge part of this conversation that's going on right now, because if AI art becomes something that is accepted, acceptable, even the minimum standard, then it does two things. It means that there's less options for real artists, and the options that are going to be there are probably going to pay less. Because when the option is to pay for AI art or honest to God artist, and the AI art isn't bad or is good enough, it becomes an issue. And they're also concerned about the ability of artists to maintain control over use of their creations. And this is, I guess, where it becomes really sticky, because the AI art programs literally scrape the internet looking for your parameters in other artwork, and then kind of jury rig a facsimile or a generated, an artificial intelligence generated uh, doppelganger that fits into your parameters. So, on a more pragmatic level, we also believe there's a significant chance that the U.S. courts will, before long, declare that AI art violates the copyright of artists, most probably thousands of artists. Um, Maybe. The courts do move very slowly, though, in the U.S., so I don't expect a ruling on that to be all that quick, but you never know. There is also the possibility that the European Union, or at least a few significant EU members, will pass legislation that effectively prohibits the web scraping AI programs that now exist. This is going to become very interesting, because I don't know if you can really uh, prohibit the programs. You may be able to say, I don't know how the EU law works, that you can't use this in commercial projects. You can't use this art to be part of a book that's being sold for profit. I don't know. I don't know where, honestly, I don't know where the line's going to fall. So, in short, if you are doing art for us, don't use AI. The next time you pick up a Chaosium game, you can be confident that all the art there is the product of a human artist who is passionate about our games and the worlds we create, rather than a set of computer algorithms and prompts. It's a hell of a statement. Now, I've talked with publishers, and you know, publishers that I know are generally, I don't know, if a Paizo would be at this point, which is the Coast's first tier, Paizo is second tier. And then we have people on the Frogger, Troll Lord, um, Goodman Games, maybe Cobalt Press level. I know people on that level. I know people below that level, and it's all coming down to finances. Honestly, if other company, I haven't spoken to one publisher that has said, "Yes, we want to use AI art." I have spoken to publishers that have said, "Well, we're never going to use AI art for a cover, um, but if our competitors in the market are using AI art for internal art and we don't, then we're going to have to charge more than our competition is, friendly competition that it might be, and therefore we may price ourselves out of a tightening market with the current economy." They're like, yeah, we got to see where it goes. Now, I have seen some very public statements similar to Chaosium's, where it's like, we're not going to use AI art, and that's fine. I think it's a cool thing to dabble with if you are somebody who has little to no artistic talent. That's me. Or if you have a lot of artistic talent. I've seen people knowing how these programs work are able to get something that is maybe 95% where they want it to go, and then they can Photoshop the rest. And now therein lies a distinction that Chaosium is making. No AI involved in your art whatsoever. Interesting, right? So it's not like you can have something that a computer generates the vast majority, that you go in and you put those finishing touches on, and then it's art by Tenkar. I don't even have that kind of a skill. But even if that was theoretically possible, they're saying if that's what you're doing, no. It has to be literally man, human made. Okay. Now, I do know one thing about AI art, and I find it very interesting, is that AI art cannot be copyrighted because it's generated by a machine, not generated by a person. And it literally is scraping images off the internet. So, AI art, you generate a piece, you think it's awesome. If you haven't put your own finishing touches on it, it can't be copyrighted, therefore it can be used by anybody. It's interesting, right? This will sort out, I'm sure, over the next couple of years. It's such a huge thing that is only now are people looking at it. Like I've already had conversations with people about artificial writing, AI writing, and the idea that an AI author could write gaming adventures. We've already seen maps that are generated by artificial intelligence. So I don't know. Interesting times. I will leave a link to this article at Chaosium in the show notes. And other than that, folks, here's the update at the cost of the Tenkar. My mother tested positive for COVID on this past Tuesday night. So that was like 5 days ago. Uh, and then this morning, well, this afternoon, really, my father tested positive for COVID. So I think Rach and I are just going to. We're waiting for our chance. We're testing. I'm still negative. Rach has been negative, but I'm sure we'll join the COVID train, which means I'm going to ask you to do one thing: use your common sense. Okay, use your common sense. The best I can tell you. We're coming into the holiday season. If you happen to test positive, you might want to avoid certain parties and such. I know it sucks. Last year, Rach and I tested because we had cold symptoms. We tested on New Year's Eve, and lo and behold, we were positive and did not go out as intended. So there you go. Be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I will be back again tomorrow with some more news-ish stuff, random thoughts. OSR Christmas, by the way, is going on at Tenkar's Tavern on the blog, tenkarstavern.com. Make a comment. Join in. Later, folks.